Hi, everyone, and welcome to this episode of our podcast, Ladies Who Lead, which is where we talk about everything confidence, leadership, and empowerment for our fellow women. And this includes personal development, goal setting, and helping women to be resilient and live their best lives. So, on today's episode, we have the pleasure of the company of Oksana Tsimpoaka. Hopefully, I pronounced that correctly.
Yes, you did.
Welcome, Oksana. So, Oksana is passionate about helping women and men to create health and wealth in their lifestyle, to be in congruence with their soul alignment, their values, and their potential. She also has a program called Feel Confident in Your Own Skin, and we'll hear a little bit about that later. So, welcome to Oksana. It's really lovely to have you here. Is there anything you would like to add to that introduction?
Yeah, thank you so much. It's my pleasure to be here. Yeah, so in a nutshell, what I do for the people is I help them to guide them to their own wisdom of intuition and spiritual gifts that they have and bring it all the way down into this existence. So through the body, in order to self-heal the chronic pains, the understand the bodies, connect to the bodies, but also to lead the life which is more kind of easy, abundant, flexible, and provides more relaxation by using those gifts. So starting the solid businesses, or for example, using their intuition in decision-making process in the businesses or in the workplace that they work in. So yeah, that's kind of in a nutshell what I do. I work with the body and I also work with this etheric energy space and combine them both.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing. And I'm sure your work helps so many women out there, and it's so much needed. So, the topic of today's podcast and YouTube really is it's called "How can you use your intuition to master your energy for abundance, wealth, and health?" So, everybody wants unlimited abundance. Everybody wants good health, and obviously wealth comes along with that as well. So these are high frequency energies, which everybody wants to attract into their lives. So this is all important work, and much needed. So when we talk about intuition, I think this is a really important topic. Actually, when I think about intuition, I think about it's like the ability to understand something instinctively without conscious reasoning. So to the ability to know something maybe without even proof. So and tapping into that inner knowing, sometimes referred to as the gut instinct. So with that, I'm going to ask you if that's the case, and help me to develop on the meaning of intuition as well and how you see it. Does everybody have intuition, and how do they tap into it?
Yes, lovely. So yes, everyone has an intuition. It's something that comes naturally to us. The reason is that not everyone trusts their intuition. And the reason why we don't trust it is because we tend to live a lot of our lives on a distraction mode, on a very high anxiety mode, and people don't even realize that they're so anxious because we're very amazing at hiding it with being very productive, meaning that we're very much on the go. We're always constantly doing something. We're not pausing to stop. And when we're not pausing to stop, intuition cannot really come through because we are not being in the present moment. So the big thing with intuition is that we need to be in the present moment to even hear or see or feel that kind of sixth sense coming through us that gives us a little nudges about something. So from my work and from my own experience, it's not really about that we don't have it. It's about what kind of frequency you're vibrating at, so that can you trust those messages to come through. If you know the Hawkins chart of the emotional vibrations.
Absolutely, I've seen that, and I share that with many clients. Yeah. So
Yeah,
just as a description, it goes through all the different levels of emotion that a person can experience at different frequency levels, and that directly affects how abundant they are and the things that they attract into their lives. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. So we all have this intuition somewhere there,
Yeah.
but if we're always vibrating at the frequency of fear, we're like intuition is basically coming from the place of love. And if we are vibrating at the frequency of fear, we're not going to really respond to the frequency of love in the moment because we're not tapped into it. So for me, the biggest thing that really helped me to naturally tap into intuition is to get into the space that is safe for me, meaning that where I feel not non-judgmental, where I'm not rushed, or where I can feel completely loved. And for me, it was nature. And I used to take those walks in the nature and I start speaking up everything out loud, whatever I was thinking, feeling, even when I was angry or experiencing other type of emotions or being triggered, to get this gunk out of my body.
Yeah.
Because I was constipated with this massive amount of emotions.
Absolutely.
And if you're a highly sensitive person, or you have a lot of kind of suppressed emotions in your body, you cannot even hear your intuition because you are constipated. So you gotta start getting these things out of your body. And after a while, I started to realize that I'm becoming cleaner and cleaner. It just felt like I'm free. My body is being cleansed, like detoxified, not through food only, but also through this emotional baggage coming out of myself. And I naturally started to become so self-aware that I found the solutions to my problems, not through thinking, but through actually channeling through those little kind of nuggets or little like awarenesses that told me like, this is where it's coming from, or this is where you need to go, or this is what you need to do. And this inspired action started to come in. And this is pretty much the intuition that's coming through out of the blue, out of the nowhere, as an aha moment when we are in a relaxed state of being in our bodies, right? So this is in a nutshell what intuition is, and we all have this access to it.
Yeah, and I absolutely love what you just said, because obviously you're an expert in this field, right? So you know what you're talking about. You've done the research and you've also practiced it. But just on a personal level, I have this feeling that draws me to nature, and I've mentioned it before as well. And it's exactly for that reason, because that's where you get clarity. That's where you're able to detach from toxic thoughts, like anything that's kind of standing in the way, and causing confusion. So really it gives you that like direction and a clarity about your own self-awareness and what you need to do. So it's a brilliant thing to do, and I encourage older women to connect with nature, because we're stuck in these busy lives. People are often living 9 to 5s, spending so much time on the road commuting, and they don't take that time out for themselves, even if it's half an hour. And it's especially I think the connection is especially like vital first thing in the morning, because that's the most spiritual time in our day, when we connect with universal energy. So that's really beautiful. Thank you very much for sharing that. So next, we'll talk about how we can trust ourselves and trust ourselves and our abilities to self-heal. So for me, for example, an intuitive mind is a strong mind, a self-aware mind, and a consciously aware mind. So consciously aware of themselves, of their surroundings, of other people. But it can also be like, for example, taking a chance on your intuition can also be considered taking a risk. So intuition does not come from your conscious mind, and it's not an analytical skill. So how can we trust ourselves in our ability to use our intuition to self-heal?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I guess humans always need a kind of a guaranteed plan. If you're going to do this, you're going to succeed. Or if you're going to do this, you're on the right track. And it does require a certain level of trust within ourselves to know that, well, if I'm going to take this step, I'm still going to feel supported. I'm still going to be okay. And that this step is going to lead me somewhere, like to a better place than I'm right now in this place, right? So for me, what was really like big difference is that we can only trust ourselves when we are connected to the mother nature, to kind of higher power or the God or source or universe, and also to our heart space. Because our heart will always lead us into the right direction. And our intuition is always going to lead us to the right direction. And very often we actually know what's the right step, but we still keep asking, for example, like, is this the right, like even like with the men on the dates? Oh, if I'm going to go on the dates, is he the right man or not? But what about you going and experiencing this date and you will know your body is going to respond to it.
Yeah.
And very often what happens to the very sensitive people that I work with and empaths is that we get those messages coming through the body that are a very like strong sign for us that don't go there, because your body starts contracting, or you will start to feel like uneasiness, or you start getting this kind of pain in the body or something. Like, it's all about trusting that your body is communicating with you
100%.
and acting upon it, right? So our ability to self-heal is really coming from those steps that I was speaking before, that you need to be in a safe environment within yourself,
Yeah.
so that you get to listen to your body, you get to listen to your intuition. And then you also need to release the resistance of knowing, because we have this kind of fear, like, what if I'm going to be wronged? What if whatever I'm going to decide, I'm going to be punished for it? Because what if I'm going to make a mistake, and so on. So releasing this resistance completely. So your past is not going to be defining your current moment anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then allowing this information to come through to you
Mm-hmm.
in whatever way are you clear cognizant, are you clear sentient, or whatever you are, and then acting upon it and just trusting that you did the best that you could in this moment. And
Yeah.
that's it. Detaching
Absolutely.
from it.
Yeah, I love that. So like being in the present moment, and also human beings are naturally inclined to try to avoid pain. They try to avoid making a mistake, and they actually might make a mistake by trying to avoid making a mistake sometimes. And I love what you said about the body. The body is so powerful, especially for sensitive, empathetic people. They totally feel things in every cell of their body, and they also, like they say, your body knows before your mind does, so your mind always catches up with your body. So listen to what your body is saying to you. So, and the other thing that we seek massively, as children and as adults, is safety. That feeling of safety, to the feeling that we're not in danger, the feeling that we're not going to be attacked, and nothing's going to be jeopardized. It's a really sensitive thing, but it affects everybody, and people mask that in different ways. And like you said, they make diversions. So sometimes they self-sabotage, or they divert with unhealthy habits. They do different things, but ultimately the body knows, and the soul, like you say, the spiritual soul knows, and that's where to draw the attention and where to listen. But it can only happen if you've decluttered everything else, right? The things
Yes.
that are getting in the way of your message, that's guiding you, that's telling you the direction that you should take. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And I really highly advise for people, before they're gonna go into the spiritual gift journey, is to really work on their let's say psychological health, meaning that they work with their emotions, they declutter their human side at first.
Yes.
Then it will feel safer to go up if you know the chakras, to go up into the higher realms and higher dimensions, because you have built this foundation within yourself, within your body, that you feel it's safe for you to do so. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, beautiful. So, the next question I've got is, what is the process of tapping into the energy field through intuition and clearing it for abundance, health, and wealth?
Yeah, so this is what I teach the people that I work with, that we first like embody their spiritual gift. We open up their intuition, so we kind of clear everything wherever they were not trusting themselves. Usually it's also the stories from the childhood where they were too much, too emotional.
Yes.
So they close themselves off from feeling those things, feeling those energies around them. And it doesn't really require time. And I have so many examples where people tapping in their own spiritual gifts and reading their energy field is so easy. It's just the biggest thing really for people is the trust that they're in a safe environment. And once they have this trust where they can completely relax, the body starts to relax. And because intuition usually comes from the body, they have no problem to understand and actually act upon those messages that come through. And I'm gonna give you an example of, for example, how it happened to me.
Yeah.
When I took the spiritual teacher, and for example, I hate meditations. I used to hate meditation, not anymore. Now I love them. But I could not sit still in meditation.
Yeah.
And the reason being is that I had so many emotions. So that's why my way of clearing my body first was going through the fast walk in the forest and being completely getting it out for talking, right? Because this is a walking meditation. And whenever I took this spiritual teacher, And we sat down and she said to me, well, close your eyes and start saying, I'm spirit, and feel into your energies. And I was like, well, okay, easy said and done, but let me try this. And I felt really safe with her. And
Uh-huh.
she told me, like, after a few minutes, she told me, okay, so just tell me about my childhood, or tell me about my childhood. And I just started feeling
Mhm.
those energies around me. And I started to realize that whatever I'm feeling, it's not mine,
Yeah.
because I didn't feel it a second ago.
Mhm.
It means that I could easily tap into my energy field and start to feel whatever is happening in my energy field. And whenever I started responding, because this messages started to come through and I trusted it, it was safe for me to do so. I just said it out loud without feeling stupid or anything.
Yeah.
That's right. That's what it is. That's what my childhood was like.
So
So when I
powerful.
understood this, I
Mm.
started to really understand how easy it's for people to tap into the energy field. All the need is to feel safe and be in the moment, into the heart space. So guiding person into that space and teaching them how to be guided themselves through into that space. All they need to do is to just act upon whatever they hear, whatever they see, whatever they understand, whatever they almost like physically can tap into and move their energies around the field. And that's what I do for the people.
That's beautiful, so powerful, and it's life changing, really, isn't it? Because, like you
Mhm.
said, often when you do go into that state, and you realize that some of the things that are disturbing you, that are creating certain stories in your own life, they're not actually your own. You're reliving somebody else's story. Like, it could be an authority figure, it could be a parent, like when you were young, but because of the inclination to want to relive it, which is natural, we attach to it. But once that's taken away, you can tap into your intuition, find yourself, and then guide yourself to reflect who you are. Like you said, that's why it's so powerful. So taking that cloud, removing the cloud, and creating space, creating clarity is first and foremost the most important thing. That's really, really beautiful. Yeah, that's amazing. So some of the other things, like I do, like and like I encourage clients and stuff to do as well, is to journal. So literally just write whatever comes to your head, like even if it sounds silly, and then read it back to yourself, because that's coming from your subconscious mind. That's telling you what's actually going on in the background. Even drawing, so being expressive with yourself, in creatively, and just drawing, like drawing anything, a sketch or just freestyle. Also, I encourage people to like have a vision board. So like, and there is intuition inclined though. So it's like based on who you are, what you want, not who anybody else is, not what anybody else wants, not how anybody else is living their life, but tapping into yourself with clarity about who you are, because your journey is unique. You are you, and that's the life that you need to live. You don't need to compare yourself to anybody. And I think intuition really helps, because I see a lot of people just living certain patterns, certain templates that are dictated to them from society, from community, and they lose themselves in that process. They lose their authentic selves because they forget who they actually are. So then they don't live the life based on who they are, more like what's expected of me and what should I do. So yeah, and sometimes the acting instinctively can also be a response to your intuition, and sometimes that's right, rather than like spending a lot of time overthinking. Sometimes you just need to go for it, and that can come from your instinct. If you know something's right, just do it. So it's really, really powerful, like what you said, the process that you go through, and I'm sure you've had lots of breakthroughs with your clients. So with that, I'll ask you to give me some examples then of people who have mastered their energy and the results it can bring.
Yeah, so maybe some of the really like life-changing events that happened to my clients is there was one woman, and she was trying to get pregnant 8 years with her husband, but it didn't happen. And when we had our first session, I remember, and she was such a powerful, she was also highly sensitive people, because that's who we attract, who we are. And she was so intuitive without her even like expecting that from herself.
Yeah.
So when I guided her through this process, I let her guide her, like kind of herself as well. So I empower people to always like kind of go by their own intuition, so they get this feel of what it's like. And we found out that she has such a fear in her sacral chakra, which is like our womb chakra. That's where the babies are born. And
Yeah.
she faced this fear, and she actually saw her future child.
Oh
And
wow.
funny enough, like 4 months later, she got pregnant.
That's beautiful.
with a boy.
That's
Yeah,
that's amazing, isn't it? Like that's
yeah,
from the energy work that you do, you were able to help her to guide and clear for herself. That's really beautiful. Like you say, a lot of these limitations come from fear, being scared of something, and we hold those fears in our bodies. And sometimes those fears can come from things that our parents have experienced, or they can come from things that we've experienced, and we attach ourselves to that fear, and it's hard to let go of it. And that's totally understandable. But like you said, it's if you're intentional, the process is quite easy and quick to remove it. So
yeah,
that should be really enlightening for people who are listening, that you can be solved and you can get to the other side and you can have the results that you want. So yeah, any other examples that you want to share? Any other big ones, or is that the main one?
yeah. So myself, I love, I've been
Yeah,
calling on a lot of soulmates, two soulmates in the past 6 months. And I help people to call in the soulmates and really the partnerships, divine partnerships.
yeah,
There's a lot of people who have embodied their spiritual gifts, whereas before they had no idea that they even have spiritual gifts, and what
yeah,
are they? And they're now incorporating in their businesses, in being coaches, healers,
mm,
even when they're health coaches or in a cooking chef, like being a chef
yeah,
industry. It doesn't really matter what type of work are you doing. I have a lot of people saving their marriages because they started to understand how the energy is affecting the partnership.
yeah,
I had a lot of people who are shifting the chronic pains,
yeah,
and really, especially between the shoulder blades and the lower back pains for the women
yeah,
who are very feeling unsupported in their partnerships, relationships, headaches, migraines, eczema, a lot of like kind of this chronic, unexplained chronic pains as well. So
yeah,
there is a lot of like tons of examples, but these are kind of my main areas associated with chronic pains,
mhm,
and then calling in their clients, soulmates, or desires, pregnancies, and embodying their spiritual gifts and starting the solar businesses. These are my like three main areas that I
wow.
work with.
So that's pretty much everything, really, isn't it? It literally covers everything that
Yeah.
like fellow women like would want to attract. Like maybe not all of those things, some of those things. Some women may be entrepreneurs and they might have business goals. Some women may not be. But yeah, it covers pretty much everything. So the work that you do just sounds so powerful, like
Yeah.
groundbreaking and like really moving as well, actually. And I can really feel and sense the spiritual element to it because we are spiritual beings, as they say, having a human experience. Sometimes people often mistake that, but that's why connecting on that level, like you said, connecting to mother nature, connecting to anything natural and being as natural as you can is a gift. And I think society today is like, it's full of toxic things, isn't it? It's full of toxic
Yeah.
media, toxic ways of self appearance, or just taking people away from who they are, like high pressure culture, work environments, even demanding cultures, communities, families, things like that. These things all push people away from who they are. So the work that you do really helps to bring people back to their true selves, which is such a powerful thing.
Yeah.
So that's really amazing. It's been so lovely to listen to, and a lot of it's very relatable to me. So thank you so much for sharing
Yeah.
that. Do you have any final messages that you want to share with our clients? And please tell clients where they can find you.
Yeah, I guess what I want to tell to people is that I feel like the importance of ascending into the higher realms, into your spirituality is really important, but also to descend it back into your body. That's where you become really a divine human, in my opinion. That's where you unite your spiritual wealth with the human life, or with the kind of energy with the matter. Matter is like pretty much everything materialistic here. Materialistic is not only the money, it's our bodies, it's the things that we care about.
Yeah,
And when we merge those together, that's where we actually get to be fulfilled in without being those extreme in this conditioned human or a completely floaty spiritual person, in my opinion.
yeah.
That's what I care about, the unification of the process.
The unification, and I think that's really important because people can get lost in different stages of it. So like it can be considered, oh, if materialism is bad, but not necessarily,
Mhm.
because everything is energy. So abundance and wealth has its own energy and its own vibration. So it's not necessarily bad. It doesn't make you selfish or evil. But it's the key point that you said there is the unification of all of those different elements and balancing it to be the most supreme human that you can be. So That's amazing. So where can people find you? People who are interested possibly to work with you.
Yeah, so you can find me on my website, oksanatsimpoaka.com, or you can find me on my Facebook profile. I also have a free Facebook group for empaths and highly sensitives where I run a lot of workshops for free, and I have people also there coming to talk about like moon cycles, how they affect you, intuitive eating, like a lot of different topics, sexuality, like even money, everything.
Amazing.
So
Sounds
I
good.
guess it's easier to drop the links because my
I
surname
will.
is not the easiest.
I
Yeah.
know. I'll put the links so people can connect with you when we post this. But that sounds really, really enlightening, actually. And is there any, like you said, you do lots of workshops, lots of programs. Anyone in particular that you want to talk about or mention quickly before we finish?
Yeah, so I have one coming, a new one coming up in August, which is called Body Love Heal. So this is only for the women, not
Yeah,
for men.
yeah,
And the purpose of it is to learn to self-heal the body and to really raise your self-worth through the connecting with the body. I know, for example, from even like I know that I always was a very beautiful woman and I never had a problems admitting it, but I had a very low self-esteem and very low lack of like self-worth.
hmm
And I was always very punishing towards my body. I had anorexia, I had emotional eating, I had abuse and everything.
Oh,
So when I connected myself actually in the body, when I felt confident in my skin, this is where the game started to change for me
yeah.
because I started showing up more. I started being more seen and I started feeling like confident without shame. So this program is for the women who want to feel more confident in their skin.
Yeah, yeah. That's huge. I think there's so many women out there who need that, who need to feel confident in their own skin. And like you said, that empowerment is life changing because of the way that you show up, the way that you're able to attract, the way that you're able to communicate, and accelerate your progress, whatever you're doing, whether that's a career or a business or anything that you want. So that's amazing. Thank you so much, Oksana. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you here with us today. And yeah, I'll be looking forward to connecting with you again in the future. And yeah, see you soon. Take care. And thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you, Nari. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.